So welcome to this second session of today. We're going to talk about MAMS-ROCI designs. I'm Ruth Langley from the MRC Clinical Trials Unit, and I'm delighted to introduce the first speaker in this session, who is James Carpenter.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for coming to what my colleague sitting over there described earlier as a graveyard slot. So we're going to talk a little bit about multi-arm, multi-stage response over continuous event intervention, or MAMS-ROCI designs. And my purpose in the next 10 minutes is just to set the scene, really, and to explain some things that I think you're all very familiar with, which is basically how standard non-inferiority trials work and some of the issues with them, pointing the way to some of the developments and proposals we have leading to this potentially extremely flexible and widely applicable design. So this work has been done in collaboration with many other people who are listed here, to whom I'm very grateful and who take no responsibility at all for anything that I'm saying. Many treatments are given, as you know, for durations for which there's very little evidence. And this is often unsatisfactory, even if current practice seems to be working or mostly working. So I think you can come up with some of your own examples very easily, but here are some quite familiar ones. Duration of antibiotic treatment. Reducing of overtreatment is a good idea. It will slow down the development of resistance to antibiotics. TB, and the treatment regimens are long and they're not terribly well tolerated. So if we can have a more or less comparable effect with a shorter duration, that promotes adherence. That's a great idea. Again, with hepatitis C, reducing duration of treatment reduces costs and side effects. So the question is, how can we move beyond current thinking and design trials which can really optimize the goal of, or optimize our chance of reaching the goal of finding the optimal treatment duration? What, in fact, does optimal mean? Perhaps we ought to say first. And really interestingly, can we use similar thinking for other closely related settings, such as the dose of a disease, the frequency, or the timing of treatments? So those are things I think you should keep in mind. If they relate to sort of issues and problems you're grappling with, then that might help make a connection with some of the ideas that are coming up. So here's a schematic for a sort of standard two-arm non-inferiority trial. So here we're comparing about 14 days of treatment with 7 days. That was our pre-specified comparison. We want our confidence interval to lie below the non-inferiority boundary. We expect that a longer duration of treatment is going to cure more people, but a shorter duration of treatment might cure enough people, and so we haven't got a big difference from the longer duration of treatment, but with all the benefits that come with a shorter duration of treatment. Here, we haven't found non-inferiority because our confidence interval overlaps the margin. Now, that may be because the data are more variable than we expected, or it may well be that we were just unfortunate in the comparison we'd chosen. If we'd chosen 8 or 9 or 10 days instead, we could well have found non-inferiority. So, as that slide shows you, in standard two-arm non-inferiority trials, we generally randomize to 2 durations or doses or schedules. We calculate our population summary measures for our particular outcome, and then we do our statistical analysis to decide whether we can declare non-inferiority or not. So, as I've already hinted at, and I'm sure is very clear to you, the issues are very obvious. How do we pick the right duration? If we pick the wrong duration, then it's unlikely we're going to find anything, and we've wasted a lot of time. We've basically got to start again. Interrelated with that is this idea of efficiency. Is it really sensible to treat different durations of treatment with the same antibiotic or the same treatment more generally, as if they're completely separate? Can we learn something from a range of different treatments, different treatment durations? And so the proposal here tries to, and I think does successfully address these two problems. And what if we randomize to multiple research arms within an acceptable range? And what if we share information across the durations, if we're thinking about evaluating the duration of treatment, the different durations of our different research arms, what if we share information across those with some statistical modeling? So here's a schematic. We might not randomize to all these different durations, 14 days in reality. We might take, 3 and 6 and 9 and 12 and so on. But what we're basically saying is, rather than putting all our eggs in one basket, say comparing 7 with 14, we look at a range of durations, we'll try and estimate this curve, and then we can find the point on the curve at which a sufficient proportion of people are cured, and that leads us then to our shortest acceptable duration. Okay, so as I say, we're going to address these problems by randomizing to multiple research arms. In the previous schematic, randomizing to multiple durations within a reasonable range, and sharing information by modeling the duration response curve, and then using that to identify the minimum acceptable duration, the shortest acceptable duration. So originally, for obvious reasons, this was called the durations design, but there are lots of applications which are nothing to do with disease duration. So we've now renamed it the multi-arm, multi-stage response over continuous intervention design, hence MAMS-ROCI. Okay, so just to summarize, whenever the goal is to optimize some continuous aspect of treatment administration, this design is an option. It's based on these two main ideas that we're going to look at multiple arms, not just two comparisons. We're going to share information by modeling the curve. And currently, we've got 10 very diverse applications of this idea at various stages, from just working up the design right through to running. And these are both phase 2b and phase 3 trials. So that gives an overview of the idea and probably raises a lot of questions, some of which are quite specific. And I think Matteo is going to talk about the nuts and bolts of that now. So thanks very much for your attention.